Hi, my name is Rachel. Welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I'm just going to give a quick wrap up for the month of June because I participated in the Tarot Readathon, which was hosted by Deja from Deja's Book World and Noelle from Noelle Sunday. There were a bunch of other amazing co-hosts, so I strongly suggest you check out all of the co-hosts. I'm not going to tag all of them here because there were so many, but they are tagged in Deja's announcement video, which I'll link down below just so you can go see them for yourselves. However, as much as I wanted to participate in the Tarot Readathon in like the highest capacity that I was possible of, it was just honestly a shit reading month for me. I had company at the beginning of the month, which definitely wasn't like the problem. Like I just wasn't in the reading mood. Even when they were here, like I definitely had ample opportunity to read my book at night. Or even like during the day and stuff, but I really was just chilling with my aunt and hanging out, and it was hot, and it's still hot. This month has been very up and down for weather, but the last like week or two has been really, really hot. So needless to say, it's just been a little bit chaotic in terms of reading, but also the quality of my reading wasn't that great either. The first book I finished in June is The Valley of Vengeful Ghosts by Kim Fu, and I was reading this because I had gotten a review copy from NetGalley. I read this for my 3-card spread prompt, which was the 5 of Swords, and that was to read a book about a character who has to confront their past, and this one sounded like it would be perfect for the prompt. And while it was technically perfect for the prompt, I don't think the book really did what it like told me it was going to do in the synopsis. Like I feel like this synopsis was a little bit misleading. And so that did kind of lead to me being very disappointed in the end. The synopsis made it seem like we were going to get this haunted house story about a girl who her mother has just died, and she's a therapist, and she kind of moves into this like new construction home and in this valley where like homes are being constructed in like a new settlement, new development type of situation. And so I was like, okay, cool, great. She's going to be one of the first people to move in, and she's going to have like a haunted house, and maybe they're going to be building stuff in this valley, and like she's going to get more neighbors, and like we're just going to see that all of these houses are kind of like haunted or cursed or something like that. And like literally it kind of set that up, but then it never actually followed through with it like at all. The main character was also an awful therapist. Like she did virtual therapy, and she like hardly listened to her clients. They'd be talking to her, complaining and whatnot about their own lives, their own issues, and she would be like having second thoughts about her own life in the meantime. And like I don't know what the purpose of making her a therapist was. I think the author just wanted her to do something on a video call so the video call could like get all weird and spooky. And like you could have just swapped out her job for literally any other job and then just let her be on a video call with someone, and it would have been the same difference. There was no purpose to her being a therapist. And she also strongly needs to go to therapy herself. Like literally she has issues. Yes, her mother died, but before that even she was very much like uh her mother like enabled her to be very codependent, and there was a lot of like toxic codependency in that relationship, and I really think that she needed to also go to therapy. There's also just like some random side things that pop up about the main character and her like backstory. Like we find out that at one point when she was a either like a student or an intern, she had an affair with an older professor, and like I don't know, she got in trouble for it, but he didn't. She also randomly goes and sleeps with her ex-boyfriend that she hasn't talked to in years, and then the next day she leaves and is like, well, never talking to him again. Like it's just really random. Like a lot of things happen that just didn't need to happen. It was really meandering, and the house that she moved into really wasn't creepy so much as just built poorly. And for that reason, I give it a 2.75. I feel like there were good moments, and I could have really been on board if it actually followed through with the haunted house like premise that I thought was going to happen. But unfortunately, it was more or so less just a character study, and psychologically, the character was just really boring, and I didn't like her, and she made decisions that made no sense in the scope of the story we were being told. So, um, just very middle of the road. Like it had good writing, the writing was okay, but the actual plot like just didn't go anywhere. So yeah, that was disappointing. The next prompt I had pulled for Tarot Readathon was the Ace of Cups, and this was to read a book that would fill your cup with joy. And so, of course, I reached for Witch Hat Atelier Volume 5. I just love this series so much. I love the main characters. The girls that we get to follow in here are just all so different from each other, but I feel like the group of them, like the four of them together, is very well rounded. Like we have a lot of different personalities, and they're just super cute and wholesome, but they're also very smart and strong, and they have a lot of perseverance. And this one particularly, the girls go through this test that kind of gets interrupted, and they get in trouble. Not like with their teachers, but they are in trouble in the test. I don't want to spoil it, but this series fills my cup with joy because I like the story, but I also am so like just absolutely enamored with this art style. It's so detailed and so whimsical and just absolutely stunning. The art for this is incredible, and it's like it just really pulls you through the story because there's so much to look at, and it really helps fill in those missing pieces because obviously with manga it's like just dialogue that you're reading, but the story is told through the pictures as well. So it's just like so easy to just visualize everything that you're seeing because there's so much detail, and so your mind just kind of fills in the color, and you get to like I feel like I can see the whole world in the way that it's intended, and it's just I love it. I love this series so much. And the last prompt for my 3-card spread was the 9 of Cups, and this was to read a 5-star prediction. And so for this one, I read The Book Witch by Meg Schaefer. Now, if you're new here, The Lost Story by Meg Schaefer is one of my favorite books of all time, and it just means a lot to me. I love the story, the message. I relate so hard to the characters, and so I really, 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 really thought The Book Witch was also going to be a 5-star read for me. Unfortunately, I did give it a 2 stars, and that was me being generous because I liked the Lost Story so much that I know that this author could do better, and so I feel like I gave her a 2-star because like the writing was like the writing had some moments where the Lost Story Meg Schaefer really shined through. There were a couple of quotes in there that I was like, oh, that's a beautiful quote. But unfortunately, that just wasn't enough. That wasn't enough. In The Book Witch, we follow a main character named Rainy March. Yes, Rainy March. And she is a witch who can jump into books, physically go into the pages, and then appears in the story and helps book characters stay on plot. Like her whole job is that sometimes book characters either get interrupted or get off plot, or there's these people called book burners who are like literally just book banners metaphorically, and they go into these stories and they try to stop these stories from existing, and her job is to go into the story and put the character back on the correct trajectory to keep the stories alive, right? And that sounds so cool. And while the actual job is really cool, unfortunately, the main character was just so fucking annoying. Like literally, she's flaky, boy obsessed, self-absorbed. I just really, really hated her, and the story itself was really cringy. There was insta love. There was like a plot twist that was very obvious to me. I literally predicted it in like chapter 3. Texted my friend Danny, who had already read the book, and I was like, Danny, my prediction for this is blah 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 blah, and she was like, oh yeah, that'd be crazy, wouldn't it? Turns out I was right. I literally predicted it. It was so easy. Like I feel like anyone with half a brain would have seen the one single clue we got that was like a car alarm horn going off like here's the answer. Like, and I think that it was supposed to be shocking because when we get the reveal, the characters in the scene are like, oh my gosh, like they're acting like it's this big fucking to do. Meanwhile, it was very obvious to me from very, very early on. And there was a scene where, this is not a spoiler, but there was a scene where there's a funeral for an author. And like, a lot of fans had come to this like funeral thing to pay respects or whatever. And then someone on the piano starts playing Somewhere Over the Rainbow, and then a room full of grown adults is like sobbing together. And I'm just like, really? Like, it was like 2 paragraphs. And I'm like, you really could have just deleted that. I did not need to know that a room full of grown people was crying over Somewhere Over the Rainbow. Like, come on. I did not enjoy almost anything about this book, and it was literally so painful to read and get through that I put the audiobook on like 2.3 times speed, literally just trying to get it over with. At one point I was like, I just need to get it over with. I can't do this anymore. Yeah, I just I think that like it's very disappointing because the book witch job thing, like that itself was so cool. And even the people that were called the burners, like they were supposed to represent book banners. And I feel like if that had kind of been the like main antagonistic like situation, like fully stopping the book banners, or like, you know, like the book banners get brought up and then they just never, like that never gets resolved. And then there's like 2 twists at the end and both of them are stupid and I didn't care about either of them. One of them I predicted from like page 1, and the other one I kind of felt like I knew by like 40% of the way into the book. I was like, something's not adding up here, and it just I just didn't care about it, unfortunately. So I may do like a full review on it because I did take some notes, but honestly, it was such a disappointment that I honestly kind of just want to move on and never think about it ever again. Now, I did get to 2 books that weren't part of my 2-card spread, but these were for 2 of the weekly challenges that we got, like our significator card, our group significator card for the week. I read Witch Hat Atelier Volume 6 for the Chariot, which was to read a thrilling or fast-paced book. I wouldn't consider these thrilling, but they are very fast-paced because it's a manga, so I chose this one because at this point in the month, I was really just sitting there like, I haven't read anything that I've enjoyed except Witch Hat. So I read this one as well. This just takes place right after the test situation from the last book. And they go to like the hub of all witches. I forget what it's called, the Great Tower or something like that. Anyways, it is a very whimsical, magical place. It's stunning, beautiful, gorgeous. Yeah, we just keep following the characters. I'm not gonna say anything. I don't want to spoil them, because now I'm so far in that like if I say stuff now, like you'll be spoiled for earlier books. But that's there you are for that. And I also read The Governess Game by Tessa Dare, and this was for the King of Pentacles, and this was one of our weekly significator cards. And this is the 2nd book in the Girl Meets Duke series. I really loved this one. We follow Alexandra Mountbatten, and she is like a timekeeper. She kind of goes house to house and keeps everyone's clocks set to the correct time. But her real like passion is like astronomy. She loves learning about stars and trying to find new comets in the sky because she really wants to get a comet discovery under her belt because she wants to sell her comet discovery to a patron and make money to kind of like secure her future. But unfortunately, something happens where her like time equipment gets lost. In a place she cannot retrieve it. So she takes a job with Chase Raynaud, who is like about to be a duke. He's next in line for this dukedom. And he's in charge of caring for these 2 girls, Rosamund and Daisy. And when I tell you these 2 little girls were my favorite part of this book, they are so morbid. They keep killing their doll. Every morning they host a funeral for her. She dies of different diseases. She gets like dysentery, typhus, the plague. Like she's just dying of any witch thing that they can think of. And they're just very morbid and like just strange, weird little girls, but they're so cute. Like I would love them if these were real kids. They would be like so funny to just pretend with because their imaginations are just top tier. So she takes this job as a governess and she starts to fall in love with the kids, but she also obviously falls in love with Chase because it's a romance. And I really like their romance, even though he's kind of like a shithead at the beginning, which I feel like is a theme for the Tessa Dare series so far. The Duke in the first one was a shithead. pretty douchey at the start of the book, and Chase as well in this one was very douchey at the start of this one. But like his story kind of unfolds, and like I feel like his backstory, like you can kind of like see like, oh yeah, like I kind of understand how that would like fuck you up, and like, you know, now you're just this cold, distant person who like doesn't get close to people like emotionally, but like you use physicality as kind of like a coping mechanism. So like I get it. Like I get it, okay? I didn't like love him in the beginning, but he really really does earn that, like his uh like reputation. Like he really tries to make up for it. So I liked them together. She is smart, and she starts off a little bit unsure like if she can accomplish her dreams, and I feel like you get to see her kind of be more confident and like, okay, like I am actually really smart, and you know, this star thing, like, you know, she's trying to find a star, and like that's her passion, and it's just really cute. I love them. I just love this series because it's just fun. Like I don't have to think, I don't have to work for the information. Like with a fantasy, like I feel like sometimes there's info dumps. You got to pay attention. You might miss a clue. There's a lot of world building. The world is like this magical thing where, like, you know, gravity and stuff doesn't make sense, and physics are different, and like sometimes you have to really put your brain on when you're reading a fantasy. I'm loving like being able to read these historical fiction books and just you know, it takes place in our world just with fake characters, but it's like Victorian, so like it's very easy to wrap your head around that way. And it's just a love story. There's obviously some other things going on, like uh I like that Tessa Dare does include these other plots. Like we get to see the characters' backstories, and a lot of the side characters are also really cool. Like um, in the first one, the Duke had a butler who like was just so funny. He was very much like, you know, the Duke thinks he's the boss, but the butler was just like, I'm literally not doing whatever you tell me to do. I'm going to do what I want to do. Like it was funny. And in this one, the girls really were the boss of the show. The two little girls. So it was just nice. I just like it. It's just fun. I think I gave this one a 4.5 stars. I don't know what I gave the first one. I can't remember. Probably a 4.5 or a 4. So luckily, even though my reading was very up and down, I did have 3 books that I really loved and 2 books that I really hated. I think I finished The Valley of Vengeful Ghosts first, so that was like a low point, and then I did a Witch Hat, and then I did Tessa Dare, and then I did the Book Witch, and then I did another Witch Hat. So hopefully next month I will have more reads that I enjoy as well. I only have 1 volume of Witch Hat left to read, so I can, you know, save that for dire circumstances. But despite the books themselves like not being like overall that great, the tarot readathon was so much fun. I used my tarot cards a lot last month, and I'm hoping to keep like using them to pull some daily pulls here and there. I need to get back into the habit. Like when I first got them, I was doing it like every day or every other day, and I want to get back into at least doing it a couple times a week because I do really like um using my tarot cards, because it helps me be like introspective. You know, it really helps me get the internal brain juices, the internal monologue like flowing, and I just feel like it is a helpful tool in just like my mind to get me to think through situations and stuff that I'm going through, or questions that I'm trying to like figure out. So I really appreciate the tarot readathon for helping me get back into like actively using my cards again. So thank you, Deja and Noelle. This was so much fun. If you participated in the tarot readathon, I would love to know what team you were on. I was on Team Cups. I don't think we won any of the categories, but like we won because we had Deja and Noelle on our team, and it was just really fun. And I had a great time. And also I can't wait to do it again. I think they're going to do it next year as well. And I'm going to be more prepared. Next year, I will buckle down, really, really pick out like solid books for myself that I can fly through. Because I think my problem this month was that 2 of the books I chose to read really were dragging, and it took me forever to get to them. And they were both short, but they were just so not great that I didn't want to read them. So it was a struggle, but next year I'm going to be better prepared and I can't wait to participate. Again, if you've made it this far in the video, leave like some kind of card emoji down in the comments and I will see you in the next one. Bye.